Fire Mountain Aria, written and narrated by Jill Penrod. Chapter 19. Echo had messed up. She'd known it the moment it had happened. She hadn't done it on purpose, and she refused to follow Trace down the path of self-loathing for something out of her control, but she also knew this was her mess, and she needed to clean it up. "You almost got to experience your first reed coma," she said to Gianni, sitting on the edge of the handsome Scavari leader's bed. During the 600 randoms it had taken for Toman to heal G and exhaust his own focus doing it, Kaya had filled in Echo on the recent history of her people. "I better understand Trace's fear of a second one," the man said. He had dark curls, ruddy skin, and piercing eyes, nearly black. He was quick to smile, a natural charmer. She reminded him of her late uncle, except this man was younger and quite simply beautiful. He also admired Trace. She'd felt this in people before. Singers who recognized Trace's strength and his kindness and wanted to be close to him and impress him. As Trace's big sister, the sentiment always made her a little uncomfortable. "Second coma?" "I skipped over a lot," Kaya said apologetically. "Trace's focus has given him pain almost the entire time he was here. I think the 2 days he was in a coma were probably a relief." "He was in a coma for 2 days?" Echo asked. Without Leichnick or a healer, that level of focal pain would have been unbearable. No wonder her little brother was moody today. Worse, Trace honestly thought he deserved it. "He told us you recently lost your family," Gianni said. "I'm sorry." "It's not easy," she said. "It's one reason we're approaching the issues with this reef so cautiously." "Are you upset that he didn't look harder?" Kaya asked. "He worried about you and talked about you." "I assume he did exactly what needed done. And he did it with everything he had, because that's Trace. Whoever he told you he was, it's probably a lie. He has no idea who he is." She hadn't actually answered the question, she knew, because yes, she'd been a little bit upset. She knew he wasn't to blame, but he had also tackled something difficult alone. Would he ever trust anyone enough to let them help? Was this arrogance? Fear? She wished she understood her brother better. "We figured that out," Gianni said. He cringed. "Can we cut the let stoffer in here? All of us can see in the dark." Kaya took the reed out, and then she returned to Gianni's side. Echo wondered if they were a couple. She thought, from the way Kaya talked about Trace, that maybe she had feelings for her brother. But she also seemed to have feelings for the Scavari leader. Right now, a love triangle between these three was not what anyone needed. Mostly, she didn't know who would win. She wanted someone to love Trace, to see in him what she saw in him. Maybe Kaya could do that. "Should we find him?" Kaya asked, gazing at the door. "I'll go look," Echo said. She already knew where he was. Likely the others did too. She followed his focus into a very dark tunnel and found him sitting at the edge of a river. The walls around it were covered in crystals of every color and size. "Trace." She sat down at his side. "It's beautiful here. The sky, this river, all of it." "It's dying," Trace said. "They can't seem to carry babies anymore, and it's slowly freezing, and I don't know how to save it. Instead, I whine like a baby and run away. I don't know why they even talk to me. Gianni is a leader, a good, compassionate leader, and Kaya takes care of Amma and her people during the dark days." He ran his hand over his eyes. "I don't know how to talk to you when you get like this," she said. "When you got here, could they sing? Gianni and Kaya?" "No." "So they'd never touched a panel before?" "No," he said. "Why are you asking?" "Because they now play a few songs. They play them well. You did that. We always thought we didn't have an extra talent. I think you do. You teach, Trace. You've done it all along, but I never thought about it. You taught Rachel all the time. She could be the most scattered little girl, but you were always patient. Her dad was never patient, and you know she learned more reed songs from you than anyone. Remember what she said about that?" He shrugged. What she said made no sense. She said when I taught her, I gave her the songs better than anyone else did. "You never taught other people, and maybe you should have. This pair is impressive, Trace. You did that. I couldn't teach them so much in that time." He gazed across the water. "They were here, Echo. The eels were here. I think this pair was old. Their scales were worn and chipped. I got to touch one. They have the strangest energy." She laughed. "What purpose do eels play in any of this? This is the strangest job we've ever taken." "It doesn't feel like a job anymore," he said. "It feels like more. What if we can't save this reef, either this side or Tormandu?" "This is nothing like Bougainville," she said. "Why can't you move past that day? How can I help you? You're making yourself crazy, and you're going to miss wonderful things in your life because you don't allow yourself anything but guilt about Bougainville." "I'm not the only one who thinks I'm at fault," he said. "No, but that doesn't mean anything. That story didn't travel. The stories that reached Dayton and Katie said it was an accident. Only those who lost something blamed you, and that's because it hurt less to throw blame around than to grieve their loss. Dayton said that to me, and he was right. They lost everything, but so did we. We lost more, Trace. None of them lost family. We lost what was most precious to us, and you need to grieve that and forget about the idiots of Bougainville." He shrugged. "Gianni still hurts." "So do you." "How did you find me?" he asked. "I felt you leave the skipper. The focal damage happened as you were leaving, and I knew you were in danger. I tried to follow the song, but I kept hitting the unknown rock. Do we have a name for that rock yet?" "No," he said. "Did you think I left you? Were you angry?" "I felt your pain and your fear. Regardless of how or why you left, I knew it hadn't gone according to plan. I gathered Dayton, Katie, and Charles. I went to find Gerald, and he suggested bringing Toman along. Then Gerald started to work. It took me time to find him and get him back here, so making the song took less than 2 days." He gave her a long, unblinking look, and she looked away. Having a baby brother who could nearly read her thoughts wasn't easy. "Okay," she said. "I was hurt that you did it alone. You do everything alone, Trace. How many times could you have avoided focal pain and hurt and even the mockery of the weaker kids if you'd asked for help? You called it arrogance, and maybe that's true, but maybe it's not. It's independence taken to an extreme. Maybe it's fear and a need to prove you're not scared by doing everything yourself. But the result is you shut people out. I'm your sister. Why can't you trust me?" He swallowed. "I don't know, Echo. Since I have this skill, this gift, I feel like I should use it." "Gift," she said. "Mom used to say that. Where did it come from, Trace? Why do we have gifts and not everyone? A gift has a giver, and yet... I've been thinking about Tormandu and now Montefollow. This reef is in trouble. It's almost at its end, and here we are, just in time to save it. How does that happen?" Trace looked surprised. "Remember Mom talking about the dangers of living under the sea? She said those who saw the heavens understood the big picture, and those of us in the sea couldn't see more than the running lights ahead of us." "There's more out there than we know," he said. "You think something out there planned this." "I don't know. Coincidences make me uncomfortable," she said. They spent a moment in silence. "I do trust you, Echo." "I know. But you don't trust my skill. Gianni is almost your equal in strength. Will you trust him? It's not trust, he insisted. How can I ask someone else to do something I can do, especially when it might be dangerous? She shrugged. Find a way. That pair of eldsingers out there wants to impress you. They want you to value them and be their friend. That means you have to let them play a role. You say I have a hero complex, but maybe it's you. He looked at the river in front of them. Is G stronger than me? No. He's strong, but you're stronger. Does that matter? Would it be a problem if I said yes? It wouldn't be. He tilted his head. Maybe it would be, and that's arrogance. She laughed. I'm not sure of that. I think, when you train him, you'll appreciate his power. Train him. Trace gave a bitter laugh. I almost killed him. She smacked him on the shoulder. Do you listen to one word I say to you? Not your fault. Not at all. But, no, I don't want to hear it. No more whining about being at fault. Own it or ditch it, but don't give it one more ounce of brain space. Gianni is worrying about you, so clearly he isn't hating you for his headache. Kaya? I don't know about Kaya. Are you and she an item? I don't know, he said. Okay, then maybe I do know about you and Kaya, because I don't know either. But she isn't hating you. They want to learn. That I do know. They talk about you like you're special, which you are, and it's hard to admit that because you're also my little brother. And if I have to stroke your ego one more time, I'm going to be sick. Trace laughed. Yeah, this doesn't feel right. Maybe smack me again. He took a deep breath. I have to say this, and then I'm done. Thank you for looking for me, and I'm sorry I wasn't looking for you. I wasn't lost, she said. You knew I was fine. Maybe sad or worried, but fine. And you had to figure out a few things here. I heard about the reed coma. He shrugged. Having someone take care of him had always galled. I think Gianni brought me out of it. Without a panel. And Kaya's ability to heal with touch surpasses G's. Is that because they're strong, she asked? Or because they're other realm? I think it's something here. I can give you stamina here without a panel. She leaned her shoulder against his. Whatever happens, we need to grow those reeds in other reefs. They're so clear. I never considered our reeds anything but perfect, but now I do. I know, Trace said. That clarity allows us to use more strength with less danger. I hope they'll grow somewhere else. We need some experts to figure out the fluid problem here. I don't know if there are any experts on other realm chemicals, she said. There are, he said. He grinned. We need to see the Jonikin. They might know about the reef, the chemicals, even the eels. She laughed. How did I not think of that? Yes, as soon as Gianni is better, that's exactly where we'll go. We can take them with us. They need to see outside the reef. Yes, Trace agreed. I want to show them everything. She felt how deeply he meant those words. In a short time, her brother, who had become frighteningly untethered in this world, had formed bonds with this pair, and he wanted to keep them in his life. The thought gave her hope, but it also concerned her. She hoped they would want to stay with him as much as he wanted to be with them. When they returned to G's room, Kaya and Gianni were still alone. Trace sat at G's side. I'm sorry, and now I'm done apologizing. Good, G said, because I was starting to feel guilty for making you feel so bad. Tell us about the eels, Echo said, following Trace into the room. She didn't sit down. The what? G asked. The sea creatures. I think they've hidden until now. Or I imagine them, Trace said. I saw them, Echo said. I doubt we both imagined them. This, Kaya said. She felt embarrassed, and she pulled his drawn pages from a small supply pack they'd brought with them this morning. When he saw them, Trace was embarrassed, and Echo suppressed a smile at the strange dynamic going on here. She wondered why Trace always felt so self-conscious about his drawings. Did he honestly not see his skill? He said they look like this, Kaya said, handing G the drawing. Then she held out the drawing of Tormendu. And this is what the world on the other side of the wall looks like. This is our neighbor. G looked at the image a long time, and he smiled at Trace when he set it down. You have many skills. Trace didn't want to talk about this. Echo put her hand on his arm because she knew how much he didn't want to talk about this. I draw sometimes, he said. It helps me see things in a new way. Yes, Kaya said, like the sentence had answered a question for her. She smiled and touched Trace's chest. And it lets him share things from in here. Anyway, I've certainly never heard of an eel. None live in the lake. I would know. Trace described what had happened near the river, and Gianni shook his head. The little animal is a pepperung. They're cute, but they tend to eat everything. We try to keep them away from our food stores. And I've never heard of an eel in the caves. I don't know why they showed up now. Maybe they're trapped here, Trace said. Kaya moved to put her hand in his. You're very upset, she said. Every time he deals with these animals, he gets emotional, Echo said. I'm not sure they don't do something to his focus. Sure, Trace loves animals, but this is extreme. Yes, Kaya said. She put her hand on his chest, and he closed his eyes. He said he didn't know how he felt about her. Maybe his head didn't, but his focus and emotions sure did. It's not his normal rhythm. So they affect emotion, Gianni said. Many animals do this? No animals do this, Trace said. He sighed. We'll just lump it in with the rest of the unknowns about this reef. Every time we think we know something, we simply end up with more and more questions. Echo thought their next step might be the one to start bringing them answers. Trace was right that they needed a new perspective, and the Jonathan had the most complete, unique perspective on all of Portomare.